Welcome to The Quad, the new Board Game Geek show where four flagrant characters from around the world of hobby gaming meet to discuss game-related topics. One of us, each of us, will argue, defend, or fight to have our chosen example shown to be the best example in the given topic of this week's show. I'm Stephen Bonacor, the podfather of gaming. I'm a hobby game entrepreneur, game media personality, and game industry veteran. You can find me all over social media, especially on Facebook in the Podfather of Gaming group, my YouTube channel, also called the Podfather of Gaming, and my very long-running podcast called Board Games Insider, which is available in audio as well as on video in the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel.
I am Candice Harris, a media creator for BoardGameGeek. You can find me hosting the BoardGameGeek podcast or Cardboard Creations, which is a designer series where we talk about how games are created. And I'm not on social media much, but you can find me at Candy Drum.
Hey, my name is Matthew McCack. Pronouns are he and they. I am a co-founder for Room 51 YouTube channel and Twitch channel, Room 51 Live. You can also catch me on Tabletop Live Network, which is also a live streaming marathon of a bunch of board game creators, which is a lot of fun. I think that's about it for me.
And hello, I'm Amanda Panda, aka Panda Angel. I'm primarily a board game Twitch streamer. I'm an Our Family Plays Games Voices contributor. I stream with the Tabletop Live Network as well, and with Tabletop After Dark. Sometimes I stream on Tabletop Gamers. I love chatting with people in the industry, designers, other content creators, and publishers, and so that you can get to know the people that are behind your favorite games.
That is awesome. Thank you, Amanda, for joining us today. The topic of the show. Today, we are going to discuss, drumroll Derek, sci-fi themed games. Which is the best sci-fi themed game? Each of us is going to tell you why our example is the best of these games, our favorite in the genre, or what makes it special in the category. So let's define the best sci-fi themed game. Okay, it's just sci-fi themed games, right? It has to have the theme sci-fi. Fantasy is not part of the category. So if any of you picked fantasy-based games, I'm throwing you out. It's going to be sci-fi themed games. All right. So why don't we start with Candice? Tell us, what game have you picked and why is it the best?
Well, I have picked Gaia Project. Gaia Project is an amazing game. It came out in 2017. It's designed by Helge Ostertag and Jans Drogemuller, and it's published by Spiel and Capstone Games, and it plays with 1 to 4 players. So Gaia Project is a sci-fi themed heavy Euro game where your goal is to have the most victory points after 6 rounds. You're going to play as one of 14 different factions, the alien races, more or less, that can live on one of 7 different types of planets, and each faction is bound to their home planets. So to develop and grow and kind of expand on different planets, you're going to have to terraform neighboring planets into your home terrain type. The factions are all asymmetric. They have unique special abilities, and they feel fresh and different to play. So there's a whole fun exploration aspect to the game there where you have 14 different factions to play. The game board for Gaia Project is a modular map. So you'll place a number of these sector tiles, and each sector tile is a double-sided tile made up of several hexes with different types of planets positioned differently and blank space. And again, Gaia Project is played over 6 rounds. Each round, there's going to be a scoring tile that's going to give you a way to get victory points throughout the round. And these tiles come out randomly. So, each game, you're going to have a different set of scoring tiles that trigger at different times in the game, which is really interesting. And it kind of keeps you on your toes. But throughout the game, you're going to be managing resources. This is resources are so tight in this game. You will have money, ore, knowledge, power, and then you have these cute little green QIC translucent pieces that you might want to eat like candy. you're going to be spending money and ore to build mines out on different planets. And again, if it's not your home planet, you're going to need to terraform it first. But then you're going to be spreading out your faction all over the board. And as you do that, you can also upgrade your mines into trading stations, which can then be upgraded into research labs, or your planetary institute, which is going to unlock a special ability for your faction. There are a lot of like really tough and interesting decisions when it comes to upgrading different buildings. And as you build and upgrade more of your structures, it's also impacting you're manipulating your income essentially, because you're going to get income each round. And your income, one of your main sources, is going to be dependent on which buildings are unlocked off of your player board and actually placed on the main game board. In this game, there is lots. It's not one of those Euro games where you're just like paying attention to your own self the whole time. No, there's a lot of really fun player interaction. And, it's very beneficial to position yourself near your neighbors or your opponents, because you can, number one, like when you place your trading stations, upgrade to your trading stations, it's cheaper if you're near an opponent. But also, you'll be able to benefit off of each other with power, generating power, which is one of the really cool resources that you'll be manipulating in the game. And I think I mentioned this, but I don't know if I did already, but this game is based off of Terra Mystica, which uses the same kind of power cycling, and is also an amazing game, but that's fantasy. So we're not talking fantasy today. We are talking sci-fi games. Another key aspect of Gaia Project is you're going to want to advance your faction on these different tech tracks. They're going to help you get better at different aspects of the game. And if you get far enough up these tech tracks, you're going to get victory points at the end of the game. There are 6 different tech tracks, and you'll need to either spend knowledge to advance on them, which is one of the resources in the game, or each time you upgrade to a research lab or an academy, you're going to gain a tech tile, which is also, making your faction special. You're upgrading, you're getting better and more efficient at all sorts of things, actions, gaining access to resources. It's all awesome. But when you get these tech tiles, you're going to get to bump on a track as well. And that's another way you're working up these tracks. These tracks are going to help you do all sorts of things more efficiently. Like one helps you terraform planets more efficiently. One increases your range so you can build further away without spending extra resources. Some of them help improve your income options. There's so much going on in this game. And it's like so fantastic. It's an amazing strategy game that feels so competitive and engaging. It makes my brain tingle in such an awesome way. There's so much variability from game to game. And the replay value is just off the charts because each game is a new puzzle depending on which faction you're playing, which ones you're playing against, the way you set up the map tiles. Like the board is going to change it up drastically. Depending on which endgame scoring tiles are randomly selected. You have round boosters that you're going to get to draft each round that will give you access to something special each round. That set of round boosters is going to be different each game. The different tech tiles, the advanced tech tiles you play vary, and the position on which tracks they're sitting on varies, and the placement of the regular tech tiles vary, and it all makes everything, like every single game, feel like an interesting and challenging new puzzle. Plus, I just love how tight the resource management is. It lends itself to so many tough decisions. As I mentioned, there's a ton of player interaction. You're going to be trying to beat your opponents to build on optimal locations. You're going to be trying to position yourself so, you have neighbors, so it's cheaper to upgrade, but then you also need to watch out because your neighbors might try to build on planets before you. So it's like you always have to kind of pay attention to everything. And then there's that concept of power cycling. I know it's introduced in Terra Mystica, but like it's so innovative and it's so satisfying to manage your power. And it's exciting when you gain power from your opponents that might allow you to like trigger an action and gain the resources you needed to build something that you didn't think you were going to be able to do this round. It's so exciting every single time. I love that the more that I play it, the better I get at it. And that feels fulfilling and satisfying. And yeah, it's just amazing. And it also has a really, really awesome solo mode. So, not only is Gaia Project the best sci-fi game, but it's also just like one of the best board games. Mic drop.
Well, I gotta go. I think I have to address this.
I thought you meant you had to go because there was nothing else to be said.
No. Oh no, there's things to be said. First of all, I don't want to play a 3-hour Euro game, and this game takes forever to play, and especially don't want to play one if it's in space. Not to mention it burns your brain. If I want to play a heavy Euro, I'll go for a farming game. I'm going to go for Agricola. I'm going to bring out my Great Western Trail.
Oh.
And you mentioned Terraform a few times. If I want to play a great game about terraforming Mars, good card-driven Euro game. No, this game it's too big for what it is, and it takes too long for what it is. And so Matthew and I are going to be at the World Series of Board Gaming this coming week.
I will be there too.
Nice. Oh, and Amanda's going to be there. This is great. The reason I'm bringing up the World Series of Board Gaming is next week, Matthew and Amanda and I are going to be there. And at last year's World Series of Board Gaming, the one game that nobody wanted to play in the finals because you were able to, the people are to pick the games or pick a game that they didn't want to have in the finals. Nobody wanted to be playing this game because it's too big, it's too heavy, it's too crazy, it's too hard to grok the whole thing. And everybody was like, no, let's get to a game that we can all really are good at. And Dune Imperium was the game in there. So no, 3-hour Euros. No. In space.
Number one, Sir Bonacore. It does not need to take 3 hours. I can play this with two players in 1 hour and 15 minutes. It depends on who you're playing with and how well they know the game. So I'm going to go ahead and shut that down. And then I am offended that you mentioned farming games and Great Western Trail in the same breath. Please do not compare Great Western Trail to farming games.
I said Agricola first. That's a farming. Anyway,
I'm surprised. Now I'm interested to see what Steven chose if he doesn't like games in space.
I don't know.
I want 3-hour Euros in space.
I don't know. There's a lot more things to do in space and explore in space than there is in a farm, is all I have to say. Give me something, in the middle of the ocean or in space, and you're gonna have a lot more interesting decisions and things to explore. You can explore all the microbes or breeding all the sheep and cows you want, but it's the same thing over and over again, y'all.
Yeah, Bonacore continues to lose credibility each episode, just like his cred just gradually drops. But have either of you, Matthew or Amanda, played Gaia Project? Do you know what I'm saying here?
I have not played Gaia Project. I have played Terra Mystica. And so what caught me off guard was when you said that the power cycle was innovative. It's like, well, no, because Terra Mystica did it. So
right.
Terra Mystica was innovated.
It's all in the same innovation there.
It's all, Bonacore, I totally disagree with you in terms of 3-hour Euro games. I'm all down for it, and whether it be sci-fi or not, if it's good, then it's good, and I'm gonna play it. That being said, I do remember at World Series of Board Gaming that Gaia Project was not high on the list for people to go ahead and play. Now, it could be that because it is a little bit more complicated, and so some folks were coming in where it was like, nope, that's not the game I know, so I'm just gonna not do that one. But that being said, so I am interested in playing Gaia Project, but I actually decided to purchase Terra Mystica over Gaia Project, because I got it when Gaia Project came out, because I don't know, there was something there was a charm to Terra Mystica that I felt like Gaia kind of lost by its over I don't want to say overproduction, but maybe overproduction of the rule sets in a way, and taking it into space and sci-fi was meh for me. I love space and sci-fi, but I don't know, something about this particular game, I was like, okay, you're terraforming, and for some reason, there's not enough space in space for you to be able to get the resources you need. Like, I don't get it. That's fine, And so, yeah, so for me, I'm like, to be the best sci-fi game, Gaia Project, it's like, I don't know. I think there's better. We could do better than that and have, more fun.
Matthew, so I see exactly where you're coming from. So back in the day when I originally played Terra Mystica first, and to me, like, Terra Mystica was just really awesome. I had played it a bunch, and then I tried Gaia Project. I had a rough teach and a rough experience, but I wasn't feeling it as much as I liked Terra Mystica, and I liked the theme of Terra Mystica better. But it wasn't until recently, now that Age of Innovation is out, which is the new and improved Terra Mystica, that I actually went back and re-explored Gaia Project and found out that, holy crap, like, I love it. Like, I love it. Like, I thought Age of Innovation, right now they're like, which one do I like more? I don't know. It's kind of changing every day. But the tracks work in a more interesting way because you're actually getting to invest your strategy and getting better at certain things versus just, we're just racing up these little tracks in Terra Mystica, which I like racing on tracks too, but it's just like to me, between that and the map board being like variable setup, it just makes it a little more interesting. So I think we revisit this conversation after you play Gaia Project. But
Fine.
I get where you're coming from.
I heard you say you like Terra Mystica better. That's all I got out of that. Amanda, how about you?
I have not played Terra Mystica or Gaia Project. Just a little background. I know. When I first started in modern board gaming, I was the teacher, and I got all my friends into it. So I stayed in that medium weight, maybe medium heavyweight gaming. And so I never got into the heavy ones until I found my heavy group, and we played all the Lacerdas. So, on Mars, one of Steven's favorites,
ultra heavy.
Ultra heavy.
That's a mega heavy game.
Yeah.
For the record, I like heavy games. I don't want to play heavy Euro games. There's a very big difference. Go ahead, Amanda. I'm sorry to interrupt.
I don't know if there's a difference in my mind because I don't know how you could have a heavy I guess a war game, right? I don't, because that I don't play a lot of. But yeah, there you go. So
just let Steven play his farming games and
exactly. We'll be in space. Let him stay on Earth. He'll be fine.
Which game did you pick, Amanda?
So interesting enough, I picked another kind of heavy Euro game in space. It's called Anachrony. When it first came out from Mind Clash Games on Kickstarter, I backed the first one, and then they kept on making it bigger and better and have a lot more expansions, and I haven't played any of them. So I'm still in love with the base game. But it is by Mind Clash Games. The designers are David Turchi, Richard Amann, and Victor Peter. So apologies if I said anything wrong. It's a 1 to 4 player game. It says 30 to 120 minutes. I don't think anyone's ever played it in 30 minutes. It's definitely like a 30-minute per player probably game. And they do have a solo mode, so maybe that's where it came out. After hearing how Gaia Project works, I feel like this is going to be lighter than Gaia Project, just on my own spectrum. But this is a worker placement game, and I love worker placement games. It's a really cool mechanism in that you'll have leaders, so it's a little bit of asymmetrical powers, but you can place your workers, and there's different workers that you can hire that do different specialties, and you're going to place them on your own board to get you resources and stuff like that. But you can throw them into exosuits, and they have 3D little exosuit, miniatures that you actually stick them in, and then you can throw them into the main board, which is out into space, to get more stuff. The really, really cool part that I think got a lot of people into this game is this time travel paradox aspect of it, where you can go out, you can create a time rift, and get resources and things from the past, but then you have to make sure that you have those during that time when you come to it, and otherwise you cause more holes and conundrums and stuff. Also, in the middle of the game, an asteroid's gonna come, so that changes things a lot on both of your boards, and it's really kind of fun and crazy little puzzle. It definitely is one of those that you have to play once before you kind of get what's going on and how time travel works and stuff like that. But it is so cool. It looks great. It's a table hog, and when you play it for the first time, you're now gonna be like, I need the miniatures. I need all the all the extra bits. That just makes it look so much better and looks so much cooler. Yeah, that is that Anachrony. I don't know, like, I know Steven's gonna say another heavy Euro in space. It's a little bit too long for him, but let's see if he can think of anything new.
Since you addressed me directly, thank you. I have not played, and I feel bad to say that because I mean David Tercey is just one of the most passionate designers out there. If you've ever spoken to the guy in person, he's just cool and he's just nice, and I love. I really when this game, I think this game came out like at Essen like about a year ago, didn't it? Isn't that right? A little earlier than that, something like that.
2017.
Oh, it's been a while. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it's something else out at expansion or something. But he talks so passionately about his stuff, and I don't know enough to really give you stuff. But what I will say about this is that it ticks so many of the boxes that I do like about games. I mean, you're talking about time travel and paradoxes, and an asteroid's going to smash thing up. And I do like worker placement and pick up and deliver. So I want to say bad things, except for the fact that it's a heavy, long Euro. Okay, I'll say that again. In space, I want to play a farming game instead. Okay, So no, I can't smash this game due to my lack of knowledge. Sorry, but it does sound like it will tick some good boxes with me. So. I bet it's a really good choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's my choice, so I have to say it's a really good choice. Yeah, but I feel like, if we could find some alien farming game in space,
we have to
make you enjoy it.
We have to make it.
Yes.
So Amanda, I have actually played Anachrony. I own it. I really, really dig it. I really, really dig it. I will say a couple things though. I think, yes, you're 100% right. Those exosuit miniatures have to have them. I mean, the table presence is fantastic with them. But with Anachrony, one thing I notice is it takes forever to set up and tear down. And the way that I first played it with some friends, we actually played it back to back. And I think like that's the way to do it, because the base game does not take that long to play. Especially if you know the rules, but it's like the setup is a little bit tedious. And the other challenge I have with Anachrony, as much as I love it, is that the expansions, some of the later expansions, slow it down. Like the last time I played with whatever the new expansion is, it Fractures of Time, I don't know. Mm-hmm. It took 5 hours, and I was like, that is not okay. But we're just talking about the base game here. So I think the base game is awesome. It's a beast to set up, it's a beast to teach, but once you do understand it, it's really cool. And I love that pressure of like, that's such a cool mechanism that you're borrowing stuff from the past, but then you have to go back in time to actually like pay those resources back before it's too late. So to me, it's a great game. I wouldn't choose it over Gaia Project, and I think it just takes a little bit too long to set up and tear down, so it doesn't hit the table quite that often. But nice pick.
Thank you, Matthew.
I have not played this game, but I have no problem smashing it.
We're so good at that, aren't we?
It does sound like a game that I would love to try, because I love worker placement. I love sci-fi. Sci-fi, I was just so excited about this particular recording because I love sci-fi. that being said, with Anachrony, the big draw for me was like the time travel aspect. However, I wish they would have leaned into that a little bit more instead of it just being like, I borrow resources and then I gotta like repay it. Like, I want to see more like something, and I know there's some paradoxes that could happen, but it's like, I don't know. It didn't seem that it really leaned into the time travel aspect of it, messing with other things that happen in the game and things like that. It seemed more like, okay, I'm borrowing resources and then I have to pay it back. And that was the time travel aspect. It also didn't look like it was taking place in space. I actually didn't realize that it took place in space until you said it. But that might just be, I don't know, the look of the game. I have no idea. But that was my biggest gripe, I think, when hearing about the game. That being said, I would really like to play because it sounds like it would be up my alley and that I would enjoy it. Best sci-fi? I think I've got it, but not yours.
I mean, fair that the time travel is just a small piece, and I think they tried to add more of it in with the expansions, but I don't know if they actually hit the mark with that. I feel like Candice just needs to design a whole new time travel game for all of us. Yes. Worker placement, Euro, but farming in space.
Farming in space.
Yeah, in space, though. Yeah, farming in space.
Let's make it 3 hours. Perfect. Yeah. Let's go.
That'd be actually great.
With the battles, you have to do a little battling for Wanaka over here,
Dice. Exactly. Dice roll.
Dice rolls. And mitigation, because dice hate me, so I'm just going to say that.
You need the mitigation.
Yeah. So, Matthew, what is this amazing sci-fi game that you think is much better than all these other ones?
Okay, I'll tell you, Amanda. And the rest of the internet. It is, speaking of rolling dice, Xia, Legends of a Drift System. And I'm going to give a caveat with this. And I know I'm going to get flack for it, but I don't care. Don't just ignore the flack, okay? I absolutely believe that Embers of a Forsaken Star is a must-have expansion for this game. So I'm just combining it with this one. And you're not allowed to tell me no. So,
I can respect that.
This game is designed by Cody Miller, published by Far Off Games, and it is a sandbox space exploration game. You are flying, so each player is flying their own ship that has different special abilities already attached to them, which is very, very cool. You are exploring through like I said, space, and you're flipping over these tiles and you're not entirely sure what you're going to get. It might be that you're in a field of asteroids, or maybe you found another planet that you can land on. And then you could actually go onto that planet to like buy cargo, sell cargo. You can go and be a pirate. You could like steal things and, complete missions that have you like destroying other players, and there's combat involved. You really get to be who you want to be. You can upgrade your ship. You could buy all sorts of modifications for your ship to have like more shields or more guns, or be able to just hold more cargo. Maybe, you can really build your own path to victory. And essentially the first person to reach 20 fame points wins the game. And that's really what you're trying to do. You're trying to become the most famous person, starship captain out there, which is so cool. And I love that this is such a sandbox style game, especially with the Embers of a Forsaken Star expansion, where you could, it takes it up a notch, like 3 notches, where you could really, it expands what you can find. Like you could be damaged not only by the environment and the players, but in Embers, you can also be damaged by other types of environment, like where ice now gets into your ship and it starts freezing over your ship, so you have to land on the planet to melt it off. You could get damaged by other players and you have to land on a planet to like be able to repair that, which is very cool. I think that the game lends itself to just fun. It feels like I'm a kid again with just like little toy ships, and I'm flying around playing, like I'm just creating my own story. Even if I don't win, I don't care. It's like, yeah, but that was my story. That's what I did in this game. And yeah, I will say, if you really want to win, if you're trying to go for like that strategy base, you have to be adaptable in this game, adapting to what happens. There's certain events that could come out that changes like the board itself. It could change what's going on in the universe right now. And by the way, just the base game alone, you get all the cool miniatures, painted, metal coins, everything, which is awesome. And this game is pretty old. When did it come out? It came out 2014. And Cody Miller like just did that. He made it a Kickstarter. It was a true Kickstarter game. It wasn't like something, to embellish on anything. It was like, no, to make this game, it had to be kickstarted, which was very, very cool. And yeah, I love this game. I mean, what's a better sci-fi game than something that lets you be whoever you want to be in space and make all the modifications and everything that you want in space, where everyone can hear you as long as you shoot them. Yeah, this is my game of choice. Xia, Legends of a Drift System with Embers of a Forsaken Star.
So, Matthew, I have not played this yet, but I actually owned it for a fraction of my gaming career. I bought this game because it seemed like it was going to be fun, like that silly kind of dice rolling fun you're describing. And I did my research, so I got the expansion too. I thumbed through the rule book a couple of times, and I was just never excited enough about it to actually play it. And then I sold it. And, I'll try it at some point, but for me, if I'm going to play a sci-fi game that I'm chucking dice, it's going to be Twilight Imperium. And so, no thank you.
Wow, rude. This has mitigation. This has mitigation with the dice rolling. Okay. It's not silly. It's strategic and amazing.
Can I be extremely controversial and extremely devil's advocate here? Where's the sci-fi? I feel like everything you said could be done in ocean, like, you're pirates on a regular ship. You have to go into port, you hit whirlpools or sharks, where's the sci-fi in this lovely world that you have here?
You could say that about any of these picks. We just talked about how Anachrony could be a farming game.
Farming game. We have time travel in Anachrony. Thank you very much.
We could do time travel for farming.
If you do time travel in farming, it's still a sci-fi game because it's science fiction.
Sure, but if we have flying ships in space with, even if you do that underwater and you're doing combat and all that and adding these modifications, that's sci-fi.
And I mean, you've also heard about merchants and marauders being compared to this game.
Great lead-in for what I was going to bring up. A sandbox game. In Florida, when we talk about a sandbox, we go out to the beach. And that's where we play in our sandbox. Sandbox games are amazingly thematic, but they have too much for their own good. There's like no direction. And I think the quintessential one of those is like Merchants and Marauders, where amazing, thematic. Be a pirate, be a privateer, be this. And you never know like what you're doing in that game. You're just floating around and you're just doing whatever you're doing. I watched as Xia played. I never actually played it. It does, and I'm being a little facetious in this, these kind of games I actually do like a lot because of that theme that you can enrich yourself and you can get into it and you can really just enjoy that, like leveling up. Like, yeah, you're this like miserable little captain in both Merchants and Marauders and the next game I'm going to mention. But you're getting better. And your ship is getting better. So all of that kind of stuff is great, but I could also probably be playing a role-playing game and leveling up too. I could be doing that. Or in general, for this entire game that we're talking about here, I can probably be playing Star Wars Outer Rim, and I can be having more fun than with Xia. So that's a better sandbox game than this one, Matthew, and that's where I am. So yeah, okay, it's kind of cool. But Star Wars Outer Rim is better
I thought
full
about
of
Outer
it,
Rim
Steven.
also, actually.
So full of it. I know, Bonacore, if you played this with me, you would love it. I know it.
I probably would really like it. And maybe we should do it at some point. I probably would
Yes.
really like this one, but I do like Outer Rim a lot. So
I have not played Outer Rim,
okay.
Which is why I couldn't consider it. But I do own it. I just haven't played it yet. But I think this has more sandbox. This is the only actual true sandbox, and I don't care what anybody says. Done.
And it definitely looks like it is deeply in space. It is definitely sci-fi.
Yeah,
It's not farming or
Panda.
I was just playing devil's advocate. I've never actually played this game, and I'm happy to try it. But you know, gotta get the controversy in there for the ratings, y'all.
Oh, for the absolutely for the ratings, we do this.
Give a like just for that. And Steven, what is your amazing quote unquote game?
The last and the best of the games in the sci-fi themed category is Nexus Ops. Originally published in 2005 by Avalon Hill, now published by Fantasy Flight Games. The designers are Charlie Catino and Steve Kimball. The mechanics, area, majority influence, dice rolling, hand management, hexagon grid, King of the Hill, modular board, take that, really not so much. Team-based, also not so much. Nobody plays like that. Categories which are important in this case are exploration, fighting, science fiction, and war game. We'll talk about that. 2 to 4 players plays in 90 minutes for ages 12 plus. It is the year 2315, and greedy corporations search the stars for profits. When a wayward crew of space explorers stumble upon a remote alien moon, they discover rubium, a rare and valuable energy source. Seeking to amass what riches they can, the explorers sell the moon's location to immoral and competitive galactic corporations. That's what I want to play, immoral galactic corporations. These massive companies soon dispatch strike forces to seize control of the moon and its resources, only to find that the moon is home to fantastically powerful alien creatures. Now the competing corporate forces have wasted no time conscripting the indigenous life forms to gather resources and fight for them. So Nexus Ops is a light science fiction war game, and the game contains a large hexagonal board that is set up differently every time, as well as in the Avalon Hill version, cool glowing miniatures. Talk about that later. And features lots of combat. The players control competing futuristic corporations that battle each other for control of the moon's rubium ore. By winning battles and fulfilling secret missions, you obtain victory points. First player to 12 is the winner. And here's the round, the turn sequence, and it is simple, and that's part of the beauty of this game. You purchase new units using your rubium that you've mined. You deploy them in one of your hexes on your home base. You move your units, just one hex per unit, sometimes more based on the terrain of the units. You explore, you reveal these exploration tokens when they're there, and that can give you more rubium, more units, or a mine to get more rubium, or a combination of all of these. You battle. You conduct one round of fighting in any contested hex. Note, if you win a battle, you may play a secret mission card, which gives you more than a victory point, more than one. Or if you don't have a secret mission card that matches the type of battle you were in, you just get one victory point. And that's the crux of the game. You initiate battles and you win battles. It's the only way to win this game. And if you lose a battle, consolation prizes an energized card, which are very important, and I'll get to those in a second. Then you gain income. Rubium is the currency of the game for the mines that you control. You draw a secret mission card, and if you control the monolith, this is the center hex on the game board, you then gain 2 energized cards. And those energized cards that I mentioned are very important because they, of course, let you break all the rules in the game, like getting extra movement, starting another round of combat, getting bonuses in combat, re-rolling dice, getting extra rubium to build more units, all of those kinds of things. The units, and I mentioned how cool looking they are. There's 6 units. There's humans. They're the weakest, but they can mine rubium for you. Fungoids and crystallines, also fairly weak, but they mine the rubium and they get pluses based on the type of terrain that they're in. Rock Striders. Now, these guys are strong. They look like spiders, so they're creepy looking, and they move fast to and through the rocks. Lava Leapers. They're very strong, and they move fast out of the lava. And Rubium Dragons. Everybody wants a Rubium Dragon in this game. They're the strongest. They have a breath weapon, and if they hold that center monolith, they can fly from there to basically anywhere on the board. Very powerful. The bottom line here in the game is that you need to determine what the best mix of units are for your strategy. You'll need some of the weaker ones because they're cheap just to mine the rubium. And you'll need the stronger ones to win battles, which is ultimately the path to getting victory points in victory. And if you go after that monolith, you then get the biggest rewards to get more victory points, those energized cards. They don't give you points alone, but they're going to give you all the powers that will then win battles and get you victory points in the end. The conclusion of this. Nexus Ops is not only a fantastic game, it's the best light war game out there, and therefore the best science fiction game. The game is thematic, well-balanced, it rewards conflict, and specifically disincentivizes turtling. If you don't initiate combat, you lose this game. And above all, it's simple to learn and play with lots of strategy. If you have the Avalon Hill edition, the components are amazing. The miniatures glow in the dark, but even kind of glow on the table because they're translucent, colorful plastic pieces. They're very unique. I think there's no other game that has miniatures that are like this. And I'm not the only person who says that Nexus Ops is quite possibly the best light war game in existence. Now, before you say, Matthew, and I can see it on your face, that doesn't make it the best science fiction game. It certainly does because of all the other elements that this game brings together. As I mentioned, its theme, its balance, its rewarding conflict, and simplicity. Buy units, move them, engage in battles, hopefully winning to gain some victory points, mine rubium, draw cards, prepare for your next turn. Simply a perfect game for what it does. Your Honor, the defense rests.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it because you mentioned me. So the thing about Nexus Ops, so I have not played this game. I looked into it heavily because I've wanted to play it before, and something's always stopped me for whatever reason. And I would like to play it. But that being said, for Sci-Fi, there are games that seem a lot more interesting that has sci-fi elements. It's got, your whole board. It's got this middle thing you're kind of fighting over, and it's got that war style, like Twilight Imperium 4th edition. And
Way
now
better,
I know
way better.
way better. And now I know you, Steven, I know you can't handle the longer games. You're getting a little,
Not true.
Not true. But it's fine. So that one is much better. Now, if you're looking for something a little bit shorter than Twilight Imperium, I'm going to go out on a whim and say Scythe, which I consider has sci-fi elements with the mechs. Boom! Mind's blown! Okay, yeah, it's got the middle, all right, and factory doing all kinds of things. The workers, all sorts of different. Yeah. I just totally smashed this whole episode. Okay, case closed. End the recording.
You just brought up two games that weren't part. You brought up Twilight Imperium and you brought up Scythe. I mean, you picked Zaya. Where did this come from? All right,
I'm just saying because it's got the middle stuff and war and stuff. Like.
But that's
Kid
not
Turtle.
sci-fi. Like, war and stuff doesn't necessarily mean sci-fi. Also,
Yeah,
I would rather play
sci-fi.
TI4 than Scythe. But that's just me.
That's fine. I'm
Same
just
here,
saying,
same
in case,
here.
in
Any
case
day.
of,
Yeah.
in case you wanted something a little shorter than Twilight.
Honestly, the only reason TI4 is not on this list for me is because I didn't want to hear it from Barnacore. Oh, it's too long. I was like, let me pick a shorter, amazing sci-fi game.
Yes.
But
Sure.
I have not played Nexus Ops. First of all, I just need to address the fact that you called it the best light war game. Off the top of my head, Undaunted Normandy.
Oh.
I don't think it's going to be a better light war game than Undaunted Normandy or anything in the Undaunted series, sir. But also for sci-fi war games, I mean, have you ever heard of a little game called Space Empires 4X?
Good
I'm
game.
talking about a Yeah. But
good
I
game.
haven't played your game yet. I took a look at it, and I'm gonna say, like, it doesn't look like much. Like
Wow.
it looks a little like cheesy. It could be because it's dated, but I know
Dated.
that there are some people like you who are maybe excited about it. So I would, I like lighter games too, so I would try it at some point. But I just don't see how it's on this list.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so
For you.
wonderful.
Oh, I've also never played it, but then I
Who would?
don't gravitate to war games all that much. So, and it's probably like not, like when I started my gaming career, I probably just like never saw it. So, I mean, you've been in the industry a lot longer than the rest of us. We'll just say that, right? And not talk about how old you are, that type of thing. We're just gonna say that you've seen a lot more games than us. I love you, Autumn Corp.
I know, I love you too.
I really want to know now. What's the longest Euro farming game that you played that you think is better than all of our sci-fi games? Is all I have to say.
We're talking about sci-fi games, and people know my favorite game in the world, which I'm not even going to mention now. War of the Ring is a very long game, and I dig long games, and I play Twilight Imperium occasionally when I can play it with a smaller player count. But anyway, this is the best science fiction game. It just so happens to be also the best light war game.
Yeah.
Done.
Agree
Boom.
to disagree, sir.
I named 3 games that are better than yours.
Oh, dang.
Doubt it. But listen, everybody, I think that we have covered these topics pretty in depth. So today we did tackle the very difficult topic of best sci-fi themed games, and there really were a lot of good games in this category. There are just so many. It was hard to pick, as you can hear from everything we were saying. I hope you all agree that the choices made by the co-hosts here were excellent and very representative of the broad swath of games in this category. What do you think? Tell us in the comments for the show. Agree, disagree, say Matthew is so mean to Bonacore. It's very true. Let us know what you think. And in case you have forgotten, I'm Stephen Bonacore, the podfather of gaming.
I'm Candice Harris from BoardGameGeek.
I'm Matthew McCack from Room 51.
And I'm Amanda Panda from Panda Angel.
And we hope to see you here next time on the Quad. Everybody, look at each other.
Bye.
Ready?
Love it. Love it.